up with the Commodore, 'cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. In a world of fun and fantasy, and ever-changing views, and computer terminology, Commodore is news. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.
The world's #1 selling home computer is now in a family pack, the Commodore 64, plus data cassette and joystick, 4 software programs including Introduction to Basic, a teach-yourself program for the whole family. The Commodore 64 Family Pack, a value of $700 for just $499.
Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.
Is small and very agile. Unlike most other home computers, it has an enormous 64K memory. This means you can use more exciting and advanced software programs and get so much more enjoyment out of your home computer. The Commodore 64. Remember, it costs less than £230, and don't forget, it has the enormous memory.
For the price of a Commodore 64, here's what you get from Apple, from IBM. For what it costs to add a Commodore disk drive, Apple, IBM. Add a Commodore printer, Apple, IBM, the PC Junior. Add a Commodore modem, and now you can get an Apple IIe or an IBM PC Junior with 3 games. Is it any wonder Commodore sells more computers than Apple and IBM combined?
Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. In a world of fun and fantasy, and ever-changing views, and computer terminology, Commodore is news. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? 'Cause the Commodore is keeping up with you.
This kid just got a video game for Christmas. He can look forward to years of fun trying to reach 18 minutes. This kid just got a Commodore home computer. He can look forward to learning basic computer language, doing his own programs, playing some games along the way, and maybe even inventing his own games. Oh, a final argument for the Commodore 64 or VIC-20. Someday, both kids will be looking for a job.
See by your job application, you've scored 6 million on the video game Munchman.
Yeah?
And I see you shot down 2 billion aliens from the planet Mongo.
Yeah.
You are good at computer games. So what do you know about computers?
If you're going to spend your time playing video games, why not play them on something that can also teach you about computing? Get a Commodore 64 or VIC-20. It's tough to grow up in a computer age without learning about computers. This is a Commodore home computer system. With it, you can learn music, take care of your household accounts, file your lists, type your letters, get into telecommunications, and entertain your family. But it all starts with the Commodore 64 or VIC-20. And now is the right time to start because the price of all Commodore software is now up to 50% less. Commodore computers, in more homes than any other home computer. Last year, we asked our competition to pick the best personal computer based on price and memory. They all chose the Commodore 64. With all the changes in the computer industry, we thought we'd better check again. The new IBM personal computer chose the Commodore 64. The new Apple IIe chose the Commodore 64. The more things change, the more things stay the same. Commodore, in more homes than any other home computer. Last year, we asked our competition to pick the best personal computer based on price and memory. They all chose the Commodore 64. With all the changes in the computer industry, we thought we'd better check again. The new IBM personal computer chose the Commodore 64. The new Apple IIe chose the Commodore 64. The more things change, the more things stay the same. Trade in your home computer or video game now and save $100 on a Commodore 64.
A day in the life of a Commodore 64. But Commodore 64, once you get it, you'll wonder how you got along without it. A stereo can't help your child get ahead in school. A bicycle can't help your child get into college. A video recorder can't prepare children for a career. But a Commodore computer can do all of the above, and it can do it for less money. Only Commodore can give you a computer as powerful as the Commodore 64, for a price as low as the Commodore 64.
Rather than compare personal computers ourselves, we asked the computers which one was better on the basis of price and memory. The Apple II preferred the Commodore 64. Then we asked the IBM, and it picked the Commodore 64. Then the Radio Shack chose the Commodore 64. That's what we like about our competition. They're so honest. The Commodore 64, what nobody else can give you at twice the price.
I'm more alive than ever before. I've been to my Commodore 64. My friends are knocking down my door to get into my Commodore 64.
It's mind-boggling. Commodore 64 lets you play hundreds more games than any video machine, plus draw, program, even do music.
I'm more alive than ever before, and my friends are knocking down my door. 'Cause now we're into so much more. We're into our Commodore 64.
IBM calls this a personal computer and says a person can afford it, yet it's over $1,500. Apple says computing is a revolution that can't be missed, but at $1,530 you could miss it. Atari says computers are now within reach. Well, the Commodore 64 has more built-in memory than the others, and it's under $600. So, while everyone else talks about the revolution that's coming, you can experience the revolution that's here.
Good luck, son. Make us proud. Forward! Bye, Mom, all right!
This year, 2 million families will send their kids off to college. But many of these kids won't be able to compete because they lack computer skills. A home computer can help. The Commodore 64 gives you more computer for less money than anyone else. Instead of saving for your kids' education, maybe you should spend a little for it.
You better be good. You better look straight. 'Cause you really want that 128. Commodore's new 128. You'll use it for your homework. You'll use it to get dates. For English, math, and science class. And it's fun to hack around. Tell your folks you need a higher intelligence at a lower price. Commodore's new 128.
An Apple IIc, or the higher intelligence of the new Commodore 128. The Commodore 128 is expandable to 512K memory by adding this. To do the same with an Apple, you'd have to buy 3 more. The 128 has a built-in keypad. You'd have to buy a separate one. Graphics, the new Commodore 128 can paint rings around the Apple IIc. You'd have to add color sprites and 30-block graphics sets to come close. For 2 joysticks, you'd have to add another port. To match the sound, an Apple would have to add 2 more voices and 4 instruments. Plus, the Commodore 128 runs its own advanced programs, along with over 3,000 Commodore 64 programs. To do that with a 2C, you'd have to add a Commodore 64. Commodore 128 personal computer, a higher intelligence at a lower price. To match the higher intelligence of the new Commodore 128, an Apple IIc would have to add 2 extra ports, 2 more voices, 4 instruments, a keypad, block graphics, and much more. Now, which do you think is the smarter Christmas present? The new Commodore 128, a higher intelligence at a lower price.
Buy a Commodore 128 or 1571 disk drive now and get free software. See your retailer.
Given a choice between learning computing and playing video games, which do you think a kid would choose? Exactly. That's why Gore-Tech, a new learning game, was created exclusively for Commodore home computers. As kids play Gore-Tech, they're really finding their way around a computer keyboard and mastering basic computer programming. So before you buy a computer for your kids to learn on, make sure it's one they'll want to learn on. One that plays Gore-Tech and other painless learning games. The Commodore VIC-20.
Why buy just a video game from Atari or Intellivision? Invest in the wonder computer of the 1980s for under $300. The Commodore VIC-20. Unlike games, it has a real computer keyboard. With the Commodore VIC-20, the whole family can learn computing at home. Plays great games, too. Under $300, the wonder computer of the 1980s, the Commodore VIC-20.
Coming soon, Commodore brings you Gorf, the Wonder arcade game, and Omega Race in home versions. Commodore.
There are two kinds of teenagers today. One strives to rack up 30 million points on video games. The other finds it challenging to invent his own game. One depends on somebody else's imagination, the other on his own. One owns a video game machine. The other has a Commodore VIC-20 home computer. But they do have one thing in common. Someday, both will be trying to get into college. There are those who worry that video game playing can become obsessive. At Commodore, while we think that's a little extreme, increasing your game scores may not always increase your IQ. So Commodore's games come in a different package, a full-fledged computer, the VIC-20, that allows your mind to expand into the thousands of things a computer can do, in addition to playing games. When you pinged your first Pong, you were being prepared for something. When you downed your first Martian, when you ate your first Power Pill, you were being prepared for something far greater, because those game machines were early versions of computers. And what you were being prepared for was a real version of a computer, the Commodore VIC-20. Games like you've never seen before, but more important, true computing. Commodore VIC-20, a real computer for the price of a toy. This kid just got a video game for Christmas. He can look forward to years of fun trying to reach 18 million. This kid just got a Commodore VIC-20 home computer. He can look forward to learning basic computer language, doing his own programs, playing some games along the way, and maybe even inventing his own games. Oh, a final argument for the VIC-20. Someday, both kids will be looking for a job. Here are the controls of an Atari video computer system. Here are the controls of the Commodore VIC-20 home computer. Now, which one do you think really deserves to be called a computer? If you say the VIC-20, well, here's a little additional piece of information. The VIC-20 also plays games like you've never seen before. Mere child's play for a true computer. The Commodore VIC-20, a real computer for the price of a toy.
Given a choice between learning computing and playing video games, which do you think a kid would choose? Exactly. That's why Zortec, a new learning game, was created exclusively for Commodore home computers. As kids play Zortec, they're really finding their way around a computer keyboard and mastering basic computer programming. So before you buy a computer for your kids to learn on, make sure it's one they'll want to learn on. One that plays Zortec and other painless learning games. A Commodore home computer.